I just can't see. I just can't see them with this new era of good feeling, which they have this offseason, actually just throwing a hand grenade on it by not drafting a quarterback.
So if you're not listening to the show, you have not been picking up stuff that John and I have had about Rockets, about Texans. We've had a lot of good stuff over the last 2 months about inside intel that comes out later. You're getting it first here. One of the things I can tell you is that the Houston Texans right now, I believe that it is split.
Personally believe.
Personally believe. So it's apparently, from what I've been told, it is split in the building on CJ Stroud. There's definitely a chance CJ Stroud could be the pick. However, I don't think it's been settled yet. And if they don't, I don't know if they'll take another quarterback. You may not even have to trade up, by the way, to get a quarterback. It's going to be really tricky. If you pass on quarterback at 2, then a quarterback, then CJ Stroud would go either 3, somebody would trade up there, or the Colts would probably take him at 4, would be my guess. Then what would happen?
Arizona's trading out. If CJ Stroud is there, Arizona's trading out.
Well, there's going to be value.
Yeah.
There's going to be value. I don't see how they couldn't trade out. And they need draft picks. Their roster's bad. They got to get more players. So I would think CJ Stroud goes 3rd in that scenario, obviously. But what do the Texans do? Well, the Texans may kick the can down the road again, or they may take a look at Mac Jones via trade. I don't even think it'd be this year. They could look in the draft. I think they're going to look in the draft at other positions. You got to remember now, Bobby Slowick is part of this whole thing. Is that you don't have to have a great quarterback, right?
Yeah.
The whole Niners offensive passing concept is you don't have to have a great quarterback.
What if they did, though? What if they did?
Well, it makes it better.
Well, yeah, it makes it better. No, it actually, they've gotten to the right. They're at the altar. They just haven't gotten married yet. They're right there. If they just had a quarterback that could put them over the top, San Francisco would have a couple of titles right now. So let me ask you this, though. Who's making the decision?
Well, this is what's going to be. So what's going to happen is I believe if they take quarterback, it's ultimately going to be because the owner says, I want quarterback. And obviously if the owner wants something, he's going to get it. What I believe I know to be true, no matter what you hear in posturing, that we like 2 a lot and 2 quarterbacks and all that stuff, they like 1 a lot. And the other one they may like, they like 2. But one of them they like a lot better than the rest. Yeah. That's just the truth. They don't like them the same. One of them they like a lot. And so the problem you have is that Carolina, so there's been a lot of talk about S2, right? We had one of the co-creators on our show, Brandon Alley, was on the show with us. And, the S2 cognition score tests how quick guys can process it, tests their... It tests a lot. It tests visually how they process things, how they see it, their decision-making, and also impulse control and things like that. And so it's not an intelligence test. It's a it's a neurological thing. And so, rumors are Bryce scored really high on it, right? Mm-hmm. And the owner of the Carolina Panthers, Dave Tepper, is said to be very, very all-in with S2 scores. And CJ Stroud, rumor has it, and you'll read stuff where actually CJ scored really high. He didn't. He didn't. And I'm not getting that from S2, but I'm getting that from a team source he's not one of the high scorers in this. And so I think the owner, and this is the owner of Carolina, and if it were up to Frank Reich, I think he might rather have a bigger quarterback. But if the owner pulls the trigger there, which I believe is going to happen, the Texans have no chance of getting Bryce Young. Like, even if they offered a trade up, they're not going to be able to get him. And the only way they'd be able to get him, what I was told, is if Bryce tries to tell them he wouldn't play for them. That's the only way they would have a chance of saying, I'm not playing for you. And that's not Bryce's personality.
So Adam Schefter said, Bryce Young came here. Uh-huh. Bryce Young came here and visited here. And Adam Schefter said, this is a waste of time.
Bryce Young's going to visit the Houston Texans. I think it's a waste of time. I think the ship has sailed. I think Bryce Young is going to be the number 1 pick. And they're not going to have a chance to take the guy that I think they would have liked to have taken. So now they're sitting there at number 2, and what do you do?
I mean,
Well, what did he say after that? Exactly what Lance said? I don't know that they're going to take quarterback at
when you
number
look
2.
at this selection, it is a very challenging move. There's many people who are saying
I don't know when he became Trump. John McClain came out and said all this smoke about Nick Caserio is all smoke. He ain't going anywhere. Maybe he's not going anywhere. But we've heard, I mean, listen, we did a video yesterday, Josh and I, and we talked about this situation. Wasn't there something with D'Amico before he was hired about bringing his own guy along? Bringing his own guy from San Francisco along.
He
brought Slowick with. He brought a few guys with. He's already brought some players with.
I brought up the name Adam Peters before just because he's the assistant. He's like the assistant GM over there. Now, what I've been told is he wanted Rand Carthen, who ended up going to Tennessee. So Rand Carthen is out, but Rand was the guy that he would have loved to as a general manager. But there's a belief that Adam Peters, because he comes from San Francisco, I don't know if it's going to be Adam Peters, but I do think ultimately, I think Nick is going to, because people in the Patriots building have told an agent that I know that they think Nick is going to be coming back. So whether it's next year or the year after, it wouldn't. So he's still under contract for like 3 more years.
Yeah, dude, listen, John McClain said he ain't walking away from $5 million a year.
No.
Well, okay, he doesn't have to walk away. We heard Nick Caserio go, listen, if I have to move aside, I will. We heard that
he said it
in the postseason press conference.
But when he said move aside, I thought that meant that he might leave.
But maybe.
No. And he was like whip puppy dog, and it's real. Like, it's real that Nick doesn't feel the same juice in the building because I think Cal and Hannah, and I feel like you have to say Cal and Hannah.
Yeah, right.
I really do, based on all my conversations. Cal and Hannah are not buying into everything that Jack sold them. Nick Caserio, anything Jack had now, I think they look at differently.
I agree. They might want to leave that whole era. Let's get rid of it. We don't want this in the building. We gotta cleanse ourselves from all of that stuff. And Nick Caserio is part of that. He is, because he was hired in a roundabout way, in a kind of a some kind of secret little
Nick,
spy move going there.
Yeah, but what I've been told is that D'Amico and his people he brought in, they like Nick.
They like Nick?
Like, they get along with Nick. So I could see a scenario where Nick takes over, they have a reorganization, and Nick takes over as, maybe director of the pro personnel or whatever, and Lipfer stays at college scouting. I could totally see something like that. Or maybe D'Amico brings his own college scouting guy in and brings his own GM in. I could totally see something like that, because basically he could go back to New England, but if he does, then the Texans would have to pay the difference, on what his salary was.
So funny how easily swayed this ownership is. My goodness. The shiny new guy. We're going to hire.
They've wasted so much money.
We're going to hire a GM, and then Bill and Jack come along. Well, we got to get rid of him, and now we love Bill O'Brien. We're going to do everything he says, and then we don't like him anymore. And then we're going to hire. Then
Omar
Jack
Khan.
Easterby is going to be.
They were
going to
hire Omar Khan, and then Jack got him to hire Easterby.
And now Nick is here, but we really don't like him anymore. Now we got D'Amico. We really like him. Who does he want? And we're going to follow whatever. Oh, my goodness. It's just like.
I think you have to just realize that all of that was, the death of Bob McNair.
Yeah.
Really, it's all the death of Bob McNair.